either live and in person or online, whichever you find more convenient. When you need Computer Tamer service, call 860-456-1310. And now, here are the Computer Tamers, Jason and Mish Stein.
Welcome to the Computer Club. I am Mish. Here with me is...
I am Jason.
Yes. And this is, if you are listening to us on Blog Talk Radio, you are going to come in now. No. But anyway, we are actually live streaming on the interwebs, also video. And if you go to our website, thecomputertamers.com, on the lower part, if you scroll all the way down,
not that far,
you will see the little bar on the right, goes all the way down. You'll see a little thing that has a play. It's from Ustream. And you hit play, and you will see us.
This is our first
live stream.
Of course, it's going to be a little buggy.
Oh, yeah. We are probably going to crash like 5 times in this whole thing. But anyway.
We've been testing this out for, about a week.
Yeah.
Working on the little
doodads
and iron out the wrinkles.
Speaking of which, I needed to iron my shirts. And everybody, now you can see that I did not iron my shirt.
So this is, of course, the Computer Club. We broadcast every Wednesday at 5 o'clock on Blog Talk Radio.
Mm-hmm.
And you can call us at, I have the up on the screen, at 818-739-8894. Our website, of course, is computertamers.com. Facebook is, which I'm actually working on a redo of our website, so check it out. It's a little more cleaner, easier to find things, and like we said, our Ustream channel's right there, and how Ustream works is it automatically will play, usually, if we're live. And then we're also, of course, we're multicasting this on Blog Talk Radio as well. And the link is also on our page. If you go to, let's try this out. We're going to share my screen if we do this right. See, we're working out the kinks here. There you go. There is a section there for Blog Talk Radio as well. It actually will play the last 5 shows.
If you're really into a marathon of just hearing us.
We mentioned this last week. We're this upcoming Friday, you can stop sharing my screen if you'd like.
Okay.
Because I need to know the date for this Friday, the 13th. We're going to be broadcasting our new show, which is the Tech Lunch. I always forget the name. I'm the one that made it up.
I'm going to put it on the screen so everybody can see.
Tech Lunch Roundtable. So the left-hand side of your screen is basically the producer here. He's running the producing software, and he's got it all on his screen. So the one on the left is what we're previewing.
This is what we see. Normally within a TV show, you'll have this nice little animation. So like, say I switch it's called the lower third. I switch, and you'll see it. It kind of like smoothly goes into it. I can turn it into a bowstring, and it will zip across. Whereas for us on our preview, it just changes.
So this Friday the 13th at 12 o'clock noon will be our first weekly show of the Tech Lunch Roundtable. And basically, so we have 2 shows. The Computer Club is more of a informational, where we take your questions, your calls, technology news. The Roundtable is more of a laid back. We also cover the technology news, but you're welcome to chat, call in, and go over what you feel, what we feel is important. More of just a discussion. It's going to be about an hour and a half. May take an hour one day, another day might be an hour and a half, another day maybe 2 hours, who knows. But that'll also be simulcast on Blog Talk Radio and Ustream. And so you can join those as well. I think you can set it up so that Ustream will remind you when an event is coming up. So that's our first show. We were going to have it last week, but again, we were
still working out the bugs.
Kinks, and we moved to different software, so that is this Friday. Same phone number, and let's see what else. Typically we do. Yes. So our Facebook is computertamers.com, well, just Computer Tamers. You can like us. We are on Twitter. I'm also working on a redo of our timeline on Facebook. Twitter is simply Computer Tamers, and of course you can find everything there linked to Facebook and Twitter on our website, which is computertamers.com. So I think that's about it. Yeah.
Okay. So we have 5 minutes to talk about something else until we have to take a small break for another station, a local AM station. If you've been listening to us on Blog Talk, it's our WILI feed. So
this is actually our little studio that you can see in the back. Misha's phone is ringing. He's going to mute it right now. And probably shut off the ringer.
that would mean that we actually were prepared.
Like I say, we're working on our kinks. We don't have a $10,000 budget on this show. But our studio, we've got a couple screens in the background. And I think it looks good. And, of course, you're not... most of our listeners are going to be on the radio through the internet anyways, what we call netcasts.
And most listen not live, but later on or on their leisure.
Right, which brings up a good point. After this, if you're watching this live, this will be on our YouTube channel as well. So, like me said, like on Blog Talk, most of our listeners are through the archive. We'll also be able to send you an email when the YouTube video will be...
and Ustream.
And the Ustream will be available as
well.
We'll
be just putting our stuff all over the internet.
Right.
Anyway, so, what has been happening in the world today that we would like to talk about?
Typically, our show runs a little intro, then that's right, and then we go over our technology news. We have our Delicious page, which is at delicious.com.
I'm going to show
you. can click on the stack, which is today's date, in fact, we have to create a new stack for the next show. We got to work on that as well. But
I'm going to show it. This is what the Delicious page looks like on Jason's computer.
So basically, that's where all the interwebs articles that we refer to, so we're just not pulling this out of our butt. We refer to this stack. You can comment on it. I think you can even add things to it, and so make favorites and stuff like that. But we will refer to this as well. And in the second half of the show, that's typically when we open up the emails, and the callers can call in and ask any questions, suggestions for shows, and stuff like that.
And in case we may be able to take your call, but we may not be able to get you on air. And once that, if we can't get you on air, we can always save your question in for the next show. Let's see. We have
our
2 minutes.
Stagehand is referring to Tangy Tangerine. This is something new that
we've been using for what, months?
A couple months now. Basically, what it is a mineral complex, multivitamin mineral complex. Even healthy food, organic food for that matter. For example, this isn't really tech, but tech regarding
it's biotech.
Biotech. Most people don't get all the minerals, which is why they take vitamins and so forth. This has all the vitamins and
trace minerals.
I take it every day now, and I do notice a difference.
They also have one called Pollen Burst, which is almost a coffee substitute because it's more of an energy drink. Because what it does, it gives you natural sugars and whatnot. I like it. I usually put some in with my Tangy Tangerine just to give it a good taste. Plus, also get a little energy.
It's a healthy boost too. So even like whole grain bread has only like three required minerals.
Wow, that's minimal.
Where this has 115.
So we're going to take a small break right now. I'm going to go to break, and we'll be right back with the technology news.
Computer Tamers Jason and Mish Stein.
Okay, we're back. See, this is what happens when you have a brand new thing you're doing. You forget things. So, but we're going to be showing you on the screen the news article while we talk. And just go over them one by one. You'll see us as we switch. And if people on Blog Talk, just like radio, the theater of the imagination, or theater of the mind. Imagine us switching from clicking. You actually may even hear the clicks. Okay, we're going to switch to Jason's.
So this is the area we cover technology news. That's my email. So I should
Switch to the right monitor.
display 2. Yeah, we'll go full screen. There you go.
There you go.
All right. So Patch Tuesday was just yesterday. Actually, every second Tuesday of the month is when Microsoft releases their updates to Windows.
Already had a few issues.
We've already had a few issues as well. And this is just a reminder that, check your updates. You can go to Control Panel, go to Windows Updates, and make sure that they are being downloaded, because you should get them throughout the week. It's not like everybody gets them on Tuesday. It gets staggered throughout the week, because, if everybody got them in that week, that day, it would just bring down the internet. And yes, they do fix some critical security bugs affecting including Internet Explorer 9.
Which is the bug itself.
And this one that impacted VBA, which is VBA is actually a relatively nasty security hole. The bottom line is just make sure you do your updates.
Yes, even this goes for even the Mac and even Linux people. If you don't do your updates, you can find holes in your computer and get in and take your stuff. Okay.
So,
You want to do the back door?
I saw this morning. Most of the malware that we're used to seeing is targeting Windows users.
Mm-hmm.
And that does make sense for the bad guys, because more people are using Windows as compared to Macs and all that. But that is changing. Yesterday, F-Secure discovered a malware on a compromised Colombian transport website that was actually capable of infecting Windows, Mac, and even Linux users.
That is actually quite odd.
That is something new. Linux is actually Linux is a spin-off of Unix, which is the Mac OS operating system as well. Unix is a command-based operating system that actually a lot of folks still use for web hosting and so forth. Very reliable, almost never crashes.
It's very
we have a
robust.
server here that runs Linux. I don't think we ever reboot it.
Yeah.
But
And it just works.
If 100,000 people use Windows, you might have 100 people that uses Macs, and you might have one person that uses Linux. That's why this is sort of interesting. That it doesn't matter what operating system you're using, it will infect you.
Exactly.
So there are reports that a smaller iPad is coming. Steve Jobs has always said that the 7-inch screen is way too small, and that they'll never get into that market. Assuming since he's no longer around, there is strong rumors that there's a talk of a 7 or even an 8-inch version of the tablet. Google did recently announce, I don't think we have an article here for it, but their Nexus 7, which is a 7-inch tablet, which folks who have seen it says is the best tablet out there other than the iPad. It is a tablet more on the rounds of the Amazon Kindle Fire. But people with the knowledge of the plans that Apple will release a smaller iPad by the end of the year. I think that would be that would be nice, because the 10-inch one is kind of large.
And
it's
heavy.
But again, anything with Apple are just rumors until it actually happens. Some
Believe when you
people
see
write,
it.
Believe it when you see it. Apple, very secretive when, of course, comes to updates and so forth.
Yes. Even it's not even believe it when you see it. Believe it when you bought it. Because actually, there's even some people that made pseudo-ish Apple things that aren't.
Speaking of Apple, Apple has said they have fixed a glitch that was causing apps downloaded from its online store to crash.
Mm-hmm.
I've actually experienced this as well. Apps that never crashed, and they are fixing it. It related to DRM, which stands for Digital Rights Management. And basically, digital rights management doesn't always have to be regarding songs, but
Any content, really.
any content. And basically, they can apply a license to that file. So that license could say, once it's downloaded to the iPhone, it can only be downloaded once. Or if the song is downloaded on your computer, it can be transferred to 5 other computers and then stop working, or it can even be deleted. They've done that. So this bug regarding the DRM is I think more of a pain than anything else.
It has never done
It doesn't
any good.
really stop anybody. People who are going to steal songs are going to steal anyways. But they have fixed that with an update. So for iPhones, iPads, and your Macs.
Mm-hmm. Let's see. Oh, yeah. 60,001. I was going to do very good.
Go ahead. Oh, you were? Okay.
Actually, I was going to do either one, depending
ahead.
on what was closest. Would you mind going back to the other one? The Amazon one? Amazon is supposedly going to be coming out with their own phone. Well, a lot of people may have heard of the Kindle Fire, which is their entry into the Android market and iPad kind of device, because they're Kindle, of course, and then the Kindle Fire gives them the ability to do a lot more apps and whatnot. So basically, this article goes over is that they have the backing, or the because they already got their own version of the Android operating system, and they also got the app list, basically. I mean, they got tons of apps for it, so that they can actually get things going. In the sense, they have a good starting off point to make it actually a very good, I don't like any Android devices, but a very good stepping off point.
So, finding it here, la-di-da,
You can close that window.
Oh, I can close that window. Finding it. I haven't opened it up yet, but I'll go over this one. It's an article I saw, and I've mentioned this before in the past. Basically, why your wireless service.
This one sucks, but
sports games. It actually gives you a graph on AT&T's network speed. If the game starts at 6 p.m., there's an injury timeout. The bandwidth is low toward the end of the game. It's high. Again, how cell sites work is, yes, the phone is connected to the cell site, and that's how it gets its bandwidth. But that cell site, where does it get its bandwidth? That cell site is attached to fiber optic. It could be a cable line. It could be DSL. So if, just like your home, if you have one cell phone connected to that cell tower, you have full range of that whole bandwidth, that whole pipe. If you have 1,000 people, 10,000 people on that same cell site, well, you're sharing that bandwidth with everybody else. And that's why things slow down. That's why specifically AT&T has had a lot of problems with the iPhone users in the past years in cities, because those cell sites are being shared by many people compared to out in the country where it may be only a few. So it's not necessarily an issue with the phone or an issue with the cell site, it's just you're using that bandwidth.
But it just shows that the infrastructure that is the cell phone companies, very tenuous on almost crashing and not even working. Because in the article they even talked about how at certain times you would actually have slower than dial-up speeds. So that says something about the whole, we have the best network. It's like, if you go down to dial-up speeds, no, that's not the best network.
It also shows, and we actually experienced it here in the Northeast twice, when a tropical storm and a snowstorm hit and knocked down power to the majority of the state in the area. It also knocked down power at cell sites. So the cell sites that were still running was handing out an extra load. So folks who were using cell phones actually were having trouble in themselves. And I'm sure the areas with the Washington, D.C. area had that same issue.
Yep.
I put a news article up. There is a video attached to this, which you can play. But basically, an EFF, Electronic Frontier Foundation, has also reported that the warrants have gone up for cell phone carrier to 2 cell phone carriers. There was basically 1.3 million requests in 2011 alone. That's doubled since 2011. And basically, they go over how the reason why it's gone up is because where in the past the police force had to get a warrant from a judge.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, can we play this?
Sure, we can try.
But
if not, we'll pause and just continue talking.
Now they don't need an approval from a judge.
Nope. Well, it's kind of like the wiretapping, the warrantless wiretapping. It's basically the same idea. It's against the Constitution to, and that's what the judge here, Judge Napolitano, talks about, is that the Constitution's there to protect everybody's privacy and their, like the Bill of Rights, their own personal property. With regards to this, like they're saying, well, if somebody's in a dire problem, they need a warrant to find this person. The wiretapping, it could be life and death. Well, like he says, you can get a warrant within, a minute or two. Judges don't, sitting judges don't actually have off time. So there's a judge always on duty. So it'd be like to get a warrant would be easy, and that's like he talked about. It's like you can get it in a minute or two. The sheer fact that they're it's a nice idea, but as he calls it, a slippery slope. Basically, it's the first hit. If what if then they start using it all the time and then don't even impact it. It's just always tracking you. Bye. Bill of Rights. You got to be, like we've usually said in the past, you got to protect your privacy and your the Bill of Rights and everything. Yes, it may take a little bit extra time to get to you, but if you're in that dire straits where a minute or two literally kills you, the police and rescue workers are usually late anyways. No offense to them, but usually they got to travel from A to B.
Not that you're boring me.
Huh?
I yawned.
I bored everybody, but it's an important thing to know with regards to thing. But I would definitely recommend watching it.
Once again, Wikipedia is in the news. I'm finding the article here for you. They are shutting down their Russian site in protest to a censorship bill over in Russia. This happened back in when was that? Blah blah. January. That's right. In January, Wikipedia shuttered its English sites in protest of SOPA and PIPA.
Yes, we did too.
We did too. Which brought attention to these proposed laws that the average, the mainstream media wasn't covering. I even remember I even tweeted a local guy on the news that said he should cover this to bring awareness to it. This was before the day that it was supposed to be enacted or passed, and he tweeted back and said he thinks it's over most people's heads. I think that was a bogus answer, but that's what the news is supposed to do, is bring these up and make you understand what's going on.
Yep.
But anyhow,
yes, they talk about legislation all the time. Anybody has ever seen tax law and any laws? Some of those bills, we'll go to the camera so we can see, are like pages. A stack of pages this high of a bill that basically says that I want this. They're so complicated. So I don't get how that can be even You can say
Well,
it's
that's what he
over
said. But
people's heads.
anyhow, so we shuttered our site along with. In fact, I think we were the only local one that did this here.
Yeah.
But Wikipedia did it, and
We're hardcore.
What was the other one that the big time one? Reddit
Wikipedia,
did it.
Reddit.
Amazon put a thing on the.
A lot of people put things on their
What
pages.
was the other big one? I
There was a
forgot.
big one. I can't remember.
Anyhow, but
Yeah.
is what actually helped. It brought a lot of people's attention. They
It was our website going down that really kicked it over the side.
sure, which really changed it. So once people are aware of something, they will take action. But the problem is the average mainstream media does not cover stuff like that.
Oh yes. They are not told what to say.
Mac and PC gap is the narrowest since the 90s. Just thought this was interesting. Here's a graphical chart of the PCs that are sold. Let's see here.
I read it.
And why don't you take over?
I can. Well, basically, the PCs have always beat everything because it's the tried and true device or whatever. You do all your work on it. That's how you make your money. So that makes it important. But in the recent years, Macs have become more, let's just say, finger quotes, important. They've had more market share. So, and as tablets and other mobile devices, I like my finger quotes. So I'm going to use, every time I do a finger quote, I'm going to come right back to the camera. It shouldn't make me the director. So the tablets, the iPads, your iPhones, they're taking over because you can get your email, you can browse the internet, you can do almost everything on a computer except for the keyboard and whatnot. What it just shows is that that people aren't buying even Macs or PCs really that much. They're buying some Macs and some PCs, and there's still more PCs being sold, but it's just going down and down and down. So it just shows that there is almost this transition from the traditional PC or laptop to mobile devices, just because that's the way we're going. But yeah, what's up?
So on Monday
Oh yes.
at 12:01 Eastern Time, supposedly the FBI turned off their temporary DNS servers that they yanked originally a year ago. Can't remember when.
It was the end of last year.
There was supposedly, and I'm going to keep adding my little editorial comments here, supposedly a virus that changed a DNS think of the DNS as it's the phone book of the internet. When you type in computertamers.com, the internet doesn't know it as that. It knows it by its IP address. So the DNS server will convert that name to the IP address. So this supposed virus modified DNS entries on your computer. So instead of going to, for example, your ISP, Charter, Comcast, AT&T, it would to their DNS service. It would go over to the bad guy's DNS server, so he can redirect stuff in, infect your computer and stuff like that. Supposedly, the FBI found this out, and instead of bringing down the DNS servers completely and leaving everybody offline, because if your computer can't get to a DNS server, you basically can't get to the internet.
No more Facebook.
They put up temporary DNS servers. Never seen them do something like this.
It's kind of out of their
They said they were bringing it down on
Monday.
Monday 12:01 midnight Eastern time, and I'm sure you've heard the news. Hundreds of thousands of people were going to be offline and blah blah blah. Well, I personally have not seen one computer
that has
this virus. Maybe
or that even
special here.
Yeah,
but
special in the Northwest.
I haven't even seen other computer people see this virus. But
comments have been at a minimal on, yeah, this is real.
Obviously, nothing happened. ISPs are reporting
Bupkis.
no issue.
Yeah, it's just another day of people.
I think it was a false flag, but that is my opinion.
And we, like everybody, we got all of them. Okie dokies. Next one. That was interesting.
Which one you want? Oh,
we did that one. Well, talk about it.
I just thought this was interesting. So on July 4th, San Diego fireworks went kaboom and then fizzle. Basically, there was a computer glitch that sent all 20 minutes worth of fireworks up in 15 seconds. Oops.
Actually, I would have found that more fun.
Guess the computer crashed. And I guess even here in Connecticut, was it Hartford had a computer glitch which delayed the show midway through it.
I never understood. I know they sync the the music with the fireworks, but does it really have to be that complicated? I don't think so, but apparently
everything's computerized now, so everything goes to the computer. So if a computer crashes, whether it's from,
and I bet that San Diego one, that's where the DNS changer was.
Maybe. All right, so that's the news. There's a bunch of other news that we haven't gotten to. It's on our Delicious page. We'll probably streamline this a little better for next week. But
hey, it's a work in progress. Plus, you're probably laughing your butts off with us making mistakes and like, what?
But you read it. I have an article out there for the Trans-Pacific Partnership, the TPP, more about it, how power is going to the corporations for copyright. Hotel replaces printed Bibles with Kindles.
That's going to get stolen.
4 ways that the internet could go down, which I would like to cover anyways, because that kind of brought up the DNS changer. What if the internet does go down? Even though it was designed originally to not go down, but it can. And actually how Windows 8 is going to be on sale in October. Actually, when we come back, I just want to briefly mention that again.
Okay.
Because that's going to be quite interesting.
Right back.
Welcome back to the Computer Club.
As it says down here.
I am Jason. Misha's here as well. Again, we're doing something new. Not only are we broadcasting on Blog Talk Radio, we're also simulcasting, multicasting. I think it's simulcasting.
Multicasting.
Ustream. If you go to our website, which is thecomputertamers.com, toward the bottom, there's a link for both Blog Talk and Ustream, and both of these are available on your iPhone or Android, so you can listen to us on the go. Because it is 5 o'clock, people are on their way home from work. But so you can watch us. This is a work in progress, getting the bugs worked out. We mentioned if you have any questions to call us at 818-739-8894. That's 818-739-8894.
And I'm slow, so I'm going to put it up here after he talks.
And our, I already said our website is computertamers.com. Facebook, like us on Facebook. I am working on a redo of that. And Twitter. Let's see what else. So this is the second half of the show. We open the phone banks and we also cover your emails. So we usually cover the emails first, and then we cover your phones.
Yes, if we have time.
Unless someone calls and says their house on fire, we take that call and tell them how to put it out. You don't need to call fire department. Yeah, you can handle it yourself. I did mention before the break.
Before there was a fire department.
You did yourself.
You did things yourself.
I did mention this before the break. Windows 8, Microsoft has announced that Windows 8 will be on, and Surface, which is their tablet version of it. It's actually a very nice tablet. Will go on sale in October. They did announce that, we mentioned this last week, that folks who do buy, you can buy an upgrade for Windows 8 for $40. And if you buy a new computer now, from now to January, you can upgrade to Windows 8 for $15.
$15, wow. I wonder, and I bet that would make my MacBook Air work even faster.
It might.
And then I can make Microsoft really hate me because they're like, you don't use it on a Mac.
But Windows 8 is going to be completely different from Windows 7. I even recommended to a customer earlier today. He runs a business. Should I wait? He asked me should I wait to buy Windows 8 computer with Windows 8. I told him no because it's so different.
Yeah.
In fact, maybe next week we sell a computer that has 8 on it.
We can.
We can show you what it's a little like. It's basically it's been revamped from the bottom up.
It's very much like a tablet.
Touch. Yeah.
It's very touch centric or touch.
Touch, and
Yes.
fling and sling and wallop and.
I want to open this.
So you need a touchscreen for that, and that's what the Surface is coming to play. So our first email is from.
See if I brought up the right one.
Robert in Sacramento, California. Great show. However, you mentioned last week that your new show was going to be on last Friday. I tried to tune in, but could not find the show. What happened?
That would be our fail.
Fail. We were planning to have our inaugural show last Friday, but again, technical difficulties. We're still working on the studio here. We're still working on the technical stuff and how to do it. And as you can see, we're still figuring that out, but we worked out a lot of the kinks. Figured, why go live then? Let's do it.
Yeah, see, we're right side up.
Yeah, we're right side up now. We'll do it this Friday. It'll be much better. So why doesn't everybody tune in to as this Friday? It'll be every Friday going forward at 12 noon Eastern Time. Again, the show is called Tech Lunch Roundtable, and it will be a discussion area where you can call in, you can chat about what do you think is making news, worthy of news, and what's not, in your opinion on stuff, privacy issues and stuff like that. So yes, Robert, sorry, we failed. Lola from Washington, D.C. I live in the D.C. area, and as you may have heard, we were hit with some destructive weather a couple weeks ago. Most of the area was without power for weeks. What can I do for my business to protect against future outages? Fortunately for me, my particular office was spared any damage and had power restored relatively quick.
That's good.
So, yes, that's good to hear, Lola. However, yes, folks were out of power for weeks there. Hundreds of thousands. I think total was like 1.7 million people without power from Ohio all the way to D.C.
That's a few people.
There's a few things you can do, from simple to, of course, extreme, whether how important it is to you. But for simple things like have battery backups on your equipment. And Misha's actually grabbing one right now. This is more of a cheaper one, but what a battery backup is, also referred to as a UPS, uninterruptible power supply. Misha's Vanna White. No. For folks who are watching this on Ustream, an uninterruptible power supply is just that it has a battery in it, lead acid battery, just like your car. It keeps your computer or computers or your equipment running for X amount of minutes. Something like the Misha had shown you will run for about 5 minutes, but a much larger one we have running on our servers. We're running for for hours. They have those are of course more expensive. Misha, the one that showed you, it runs about $50-$60. I would get ones that run about at least 1,500 volts, and those run about 10-15 minutes at the minimum. That's when I have my big screen TV. Like for example, at home, I have my essential stuff plugged into that big screen TV, my direct TV, my internet, my cable modem, my wireless. So when we lose power, even for just a few minutes, nothing gets interrupted. Internet doesn't get lost, doesn't have to reestablish and stuff like that. But not only that, it's a surge protector. In fact, those rates, guaranteed if your house, if it's hit by lightning and damaged, they'll pay you I think it's either $20,000 or $50,000.
It's almost like an insurance policy.
So the simple things like that. Your phone system. I had somebody whose phone system got hit as well. In fact, business, their phone system got hit. Their router, cable modem, and the switch got hit.
Ouch.
And it passed through. Actually, another customer modem, router got hit, and it passed through one of the Ethernet cables into the back of one of the computers and fried that connection too.
Wow.
Those were the only Those were the only two things that were not plugged into a battery backup at her place. So,
and it doesn't even have to be like a disaster or like what happened with DC with severe weather. I have a customer that their phone system got zapped when the power company was doing some work on the lines.
right.
And so they were like, "Oh, we're going to turn off the power for this amount of time, this power amount of time." And it turned out that they messed it up, and they caused a backfeed. And they were lucky that I had told them to unplug things and turn off things because they lost their power. The phone system, which was like a $3,000 power phone system. Their alarm system, which to this day still doesn't work right. And even though they've changed out all the parts, figure that one out. So it can save you a lot of heartache. It's almost like a sub pump.
The other thing,
there when you need it.
What if you can't get to your office? I mean, we're probably going to take up most of the time answering this question, but if you can't get to your office, you want to have stuff off-site. And that's sort of where the cloud comes into play. People probably have heard of the cloud. It's basically, the cloud is the internet. That's where, because in olden days, internet was always referred to as the cloud. That's how it was drawn. So cloud could be your email. Your email is probably stored up on a server somewhere else. That's in the cloud. That you can get that from anywhere you go. Your phone, your laptop. So there are services for our phone system is through the cloud, and that when we got hit by the tropical storm and lost power for a week, our phones didn't ring, but we could still get phone calls because we could pipe it through our cell phones and stuff like that. So I could get it through here. So we were still in business, our phones still rung, we were still able to help customers.
Exactly. So like when was it Irene or the snowstorm? I can't remember. Irene hit us. Our shop had no power, but Jason had power. So what we did was we took our cloud-based phones and a bunch of our gear to his place and set up shop, and nobody even knew the difference except us with stuff going on.
We did have a generator here ultimately. In fact, there was one already set up. But that's the other thing you can think of. Running a generator. They have a full, basically full
almost full like
office generator.
Like 10,000 watts. I mean, that's enough
powered
to run
everything.
pretty much everything. Maybe not your AC unit, but
so that ran for the week and was able to power. So that's something to think about as well. If you have a generator, make sure you have enough gas or enough LP. Basically it's called disaster recovery or DRP, disaster recovery plan.
But the key is for any kind of DRP is that you have to think of almost every eventuality and then also test for it. It will say you're doing, you're always so busy, but if the disaster occurs and like we hear a lot, without my computers, I am out of business. No, if it's that dire, it's that important. Got shorter there. If it's that important, you should take the time, even if it's off time. Take a Sunday and say, okay, guys, we're gonna do a disaster recovery. I brought pizza. We're gonna go through as if the stuff hit the fan, and we're gonna redo this. So then once you have a plan ready, even if it's written out and then everybody's drilled, it's a reason why why you have a fire drill. Well, everybody says, oh, it's just a fire drill. It's just a drill. Well, it's like, even when the real thing happens, everybody files out normal way, and people know what to do. And if your business or even your home stuff, if something happens with your power, you need to know. Make sure the food doesn't rot. What do you do to make sure all this, all the little things, so that your well, if you're in a residential, a rural area, your well is, you can still pull water, stuff like that. Hand crates, sometimes just little things like that. But if you don't plan for it, you're going to be the one of the people saying, I can't do anything. Whereas your next door neighbor or business next door that has a generator, has everything fully working, making money, and going from there. Yes. But one of the things also about DRPs is they should be simple. Simple as possible.
Right, keep it simple.
As my teacher used to tell me, keep it simple, stupid, because overcomplicating anything is just going to create more havoc and bad stuff. But yeah. So, want to do a next one?
Next question.
Next question. This is from, let's see if I can read it on the screen. Eric from Orlando, Florida. Okay, what's your opinion of AMD versus Intel? Now, I know technology always moves ahead and things change all the time. I'll just say, I'll give you the short answer, then the long answer. I still like Intel over AMD. It's just the way Intels are tuned and engineered a little more thoughtfully. There's less, here's your chip, have fun.
Right.
AMD's, although are now actually sometimes faster, depending on which one you get more heat, which means it uses more battery or power.
Right, that's
so
the big thing. The Intels run a lot cooler. In fact, some PC magazines have been able to run an Intel processor chip
without any heatsink.
without any heatsink, and that's very impressive.
Yes.
So therefore, they run quieter.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. Also,
more stable too.
Yeah, stable. And this is one of the reasons why they're stable, and this is more the long answer, is that AMDs have been the ones that you usually can overclock. And overclocking basically means you have the ability to make it go faster than it was actually designed for, or the optimum level is. Because if you make your 2 gigahertz chip do 3 gigahertz, you just got almost a 100% a 50% increase in performance. So it's like, there you go, and have a good day. But the problem when you overclock, just like if you take the governor off of your engine, it's made to go to that certain that top point for a specific reason, so it doesn't damage the chip. And with a chip, stained glass, it gets too hot, cracks or warps, and the little transistors then break off, and then you have a very expensive thing to look at.
Exactly. So Intel, I would say, is the way to go. Let's go over the last email.
The last email?
Sure. From Carrie, Pomfret,
Woo-hoo,
Connecticut.
right.
When I built my house back in 2001, I made a small mistake and never had cable run from the road to the house. Approximately 3,000-foot driveway.
Ouch!
Now the cable company wants to charge me thousands to run it. I run a small business out of my house, misspelled word, and have one employee, so high speed would be great. What are my options? And it's unfortunate. I've come across numerous folks who have done the same thing. It's usually, I think, it's roughly about $1,000 a foot, not a foot, $1,000 per 1,000 feet. What they need to do is they need to run it from the road to your house, and that is expensive. They do not, unless you can work out a deal with a cable company, but they do not. They're not absorb that cost.
Yes, they will send you. Right. Now, one thing you could do, and this is the recommendation, is if you can find somebody that can lay the cable, you're maybe an electrician or somebody that knows how to lay the cable, and just leaves two big ends.
Right.
Exactly.
Right. It won't be thousands of dollars. It'll still be a little more expensive for a hookup, but that is an option to do. Because, of course, you can't just you just can't put a trench, dig a trench, lay the wire, and cover it up because you got moisture and all that stuff. So you need to make sure it's the right cable and make sure it's the right.
Actually, you probably you can lay. You may not be able to lay the cable, but you could actually dig the trench, put the conduit in, which a conduit, which I can't show you, but it's okay. A conduit is
just like a tube.
It's a tube. It's basically what it does is protects the inside from usually moisture and crushing. And if you lay down it yourself and you leave it open, and then you tell the cable company and see, can you give me a deal because I already made the trench. Right. I put the conduit down. There you go.
Other than that, you got satellite available to you. Maybe DSL because it comes to your phone line. Probably ran phone lines, so that's an option.
Most likely.
Check with the phone company to see if DSL is available, and then if not, satellite. The problem with satellite is what's called latency. When you click on something, it takes a second or two to respond back to it. It's called latency response time.
It's
then,
late.
Of course, it's late. Of course, then you also have the cell phone, the 4G, if that's available. Make a Wi-Fi hotspot. So.
Yes. But like we already talked about in the news article, might be slowed at certain times. Okay, that's it for today's show. Check us out on Friday for the Tech Lunch.
Blog Talk Radio and Ustream. Yep. We'll be right here.
And next week for the Computer Club. Thanks. Have a good day. Bye.